Hello guys, my name is Sierra and I am introducing.
Reintroducing.
Go ahead. We're safe too. And we came back today just so that we can reintroduce ourselves. And my name, I said it already.
Yes, you do.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Blue.
I'm Aisha.
And we're here to re-explain what it means and what are the meaning behind our podcast, We're Saved Too. So to me, We're Saved Too is more so us living in Las Vegas. Everybody calls it Sin City. And just being that we're living in the city, we are saved as well. And it's a which word do you say? Conundrum. How can you be in Sin City but saved? And it's possible because we out here getting it.
I knew it was coming.
It was coming.
I'm not out here getting it.
She's out here doing it.
Saved. That's what she.
Getting it could be getting holiness, getting money. I restate that from first episode. It's okay.
No, it sounds.
It's a colloquialism.
What is it? We have redefined the term to mean what I want it to mean in this podcast.
I see, and I definitely don't agree with redefining words. It's already been in history for so long.
What? Getting it has not been in history for so long.
Getting it based off what I grew up, getting it is getting it.
Like it? No, that's getting it, not getting it.
Oh.
Right? Exactly.
So you out here trying to redefine things.
Okay, I mixed it up.
That's why it's a colloquialism, and
Colloquialism. I just colloquialism.
That's what I said.
That's not what you said.
It was close.
Anyway.
You shouldn't use big words.
You know what? I know big words. And I don't like how people make it seem like big words make you this or that. If you read books, you have a high vocabulary. True. So that doesn't make it seem like you're trying to be something you're not.
Who said that?
I'm just saying, people say that. Anytime I try to use big words like, ooh, you're in college now, you're using big... No! I've been reading books since I was like a kid. But that's not...
That's
Sidebar.
Like your pastor, sidebar.
So, what does it mean? Is somebody else going? Silky, what does it mean to you?
I don't know. We're Saved Too is basically, to me, I'm living a life as a young person in the world as I'm going on adventures in my life, as I'm learning, as I'm growing. And with all of that in this world, I just want you to know that I'm saved too. There's nothing apart from me that is not of Christ. And so when you see me, you see the God in me. And that's explaining we're saved too. Is because I might look like, hey, I'm at work or I'm in the gym or doing everything. But what comes first is I'm saved. And so we're saved too.
And just to piggyback off of Silky. For me, it was all about punctuations. I'm very big on how you punctualize, say a statement and punctualize. Grammar is very, very important to me. Because if you text me, you understand. I make sure my punctuations are on point. And so for me, we're saved too is with an exclamation mark. And it's the forefront. It's the fact that I am all these things, but I am saved as well. It's most important to me, and that's why I am continuing in my walk. Have I walked off the path? Yeah, a little bit.
No, I wouldn't say you walked off. You were like,
I think you just stopped.
You know when you're on a curb and you like kind of balance on the edge?
Okay.
No, she's not drifting off the curb. She's yet to touch.
Like, you know,
but she's yet to slip. She's like a kid when you're walking on the sidewalk and you see the curb and you want to balance yourself. I don't think you've slipped.
Well, I haven't walked away. I would say
I think you just stopped. I mean, you know when you're driving and you just
you're like in the middle of the lane,
well,
but you're
not. I think you
not.
like go off the side of the road and like you're parked right here while everybody else is going, and you just have to merge back into traffic.
I just know I haven't walked away.
Amen.
I know a lot of people have walked away, and I have not walked away. So we're safe too. For me, and my point of life is exactly what it is with an exclamation mark. It's like a constant reminder that I am what I am here, not here.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like a continuation on of that. As you know how Dr. Poole says, like living on the other side of the comma, that's the other side. Like we're saved too, because whatever I might be defined as from a worldly standpoint, comma, I'm saved too. Exclamation point.
Amen. For me, we're saved too. I don't know, just whenever I walk throughout my life and things like that, people think that we're like nice people, but they wouldn't just automatically assume that we're saved because we live in Vegas and that we live a different type of saved life because we live in Vegas. Like we're not as holy, I would guess, because we live in Sin City. But at the end of the day, Sin City still need to get saved. So that's what we're here for.
Graceland.
And
Graceland.
Graceland. I'll take
Nobody
that.
said he was renaming it?
I think so.
Dr. Poole,
I think our pastor renamed it Graceland, but as for me, we're saved to. I don't know. It's just everybody has these different things that make them them, but what we all have in common as friends, more than we're all African American, mostly, and I was trying because I don't know.
Oh, the shade!
No, I don't know what I mixed with yet. I'm gonna get my.
Oh, that was for you?
No, that's not what I meant. Because remember we said we were gonna get our DNA thing and we were gonna all find out what we really are. I am part Irish. Thank you. My dad told me. So, not Irish, Swedish, but still. At the end of the day,
Well, we
I'm
can understand why we thought you were shading me because you guys always shade me when it comes to my ethnicity.
And we'll talk about that later. but with that, other than us being female, other than women, other than
Not call me female.
Why? What's wrong with that? That's what you are.
She does not like
she doesn't work. Anyway, so other than us being women,
y'all.
other than us being women, other than us being African American, other than us being within the same age generation, like there's more to us than that. There's more to me than that. What's my defining trait is that I love Jesus. And just because you may not just because my salvation, you would think my salvation looks different because I live here. And just because we're young doesn't mean I'm not holy. Just because I'm African American doesn't mean that my salvation looks different than your salvation. Because me and Darren, I think, had a conversation about that, about the different ways people look at, the different ways we view, the black church, the white church, the Hispanic church. We look at them all differently, but more than just I live in the place where sin is promoted, I'm saved too. And so, yeah.
One body, one mind. One Lord, one God.
He's the head. But yes.
As we transition, we're gonna go into our stories of how our first impressions of each other.
Exactly. So at the bottom, it's gonna say first impression.
And this should be fun because everybody don't
Everybody's
remember.
everybody's
the same
different.
way.
Everybody's different. Ooh.
I want Silky to start because Silky is Silky.
Oh.
So you're gonna go
You went
this
that
way
way and go this way.
Oh, y'all seen how they was gonna direct my path? All right. So first impression, second person I met at the table was Sierra. I had first gotten to Destiny Christian Center, which is our church, and it was the year of Jubilee. My pastors were turning 50 years old.
Yeah.
So it was
Happy birthday, Dr. Sheila.
So it was a restart, but not only for them, but it was for me because before, I went to Antioch Kojic, Antioch Ministries, Church of God in Christ, and my pastor died at 50 years old. And I was avoiding like the plague. I was like, no, I don't want to go to the church, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I did. I'm going to tell you my testimony.
Yeah.
I called it a cult because I used to go to Zumba with them, but I never.
Oh, you call our church a cult?
Yes, you did.
Oh, really?
I never understood why they always wanted to hang around each other, why it was like always just such a mesh. And so I did. And then after my pastor died and I dwindled out of the church back in the world, knowing there's nothing there for me, I called Aisha and I told her, oh, I'm just going to go to her church. And so I did. And I think it was like a Mother's Day 2017. No, it wasn't, because I went back to my old church. It was a Wednesday night. And Dr. Poole came back from Liberia. And I remember him speaking so eloquent. I know that black leather. I was like, oh, snap. He was fine. But he was like, the way we would act, people would think that this was a cult. And I knew then the Holy Spirit had gotten a hold of me and was like, you need to stay here. And so that was that. But it was in the midst of Jubilee, and I got to meet Sierra. She was it was after all of Dr. Poole's events, and we were getting started for Dr. Sheila's events, and it was like during the fashion show, and I don't know, like it was just like a bad bit, and I was like, what do you need help with? Because she was on the committee for decorating. And after that, I don't know what happened, but we were like peas in a pod. Like, I just it was nothing that, I was like, I really like her. And she was just so sweet, this extra like feminine. And it was something that like, why would this pretty girl like want to hang out with me? Because I was still going through like self-esteem issues. And so for her to like cling to me and then just give me bits and pieces of wisdom, because she just graduated from Sonship School of the Firstborn. And so it was just like she was depositing into me like a lot. And it was such a force that attracted me to her that it was just, I don't know, we just blossomed from there. So that's when I first met Smooch, during Jubilee. So restart, and I got a new friend. And then for Darren, so
That was a shift. She was pouring, and she was telling me, Darren.
No, not like that. So the three of them plus another one, and then maybe another one. They were all four hang out, and it took me a while. Like, they did stuff, and it was like the four no more. But then when I seen them, it was like the three. And she was actually the last person I got to meet and hang out, and I just thought she did not like me. Because all I heard was, oh, she does not accept new people like that. And I was just like, that's true.
That is true.
And so we would take pictures together, but with me and Darren, it just kind of melded into each other. Because I was always around, so I wasn't going anywhere.
I always tell her to come like hang out with you.
Exactly. So I wasn't going anywhere. Darren wasn't going anywhere. So we just kind of started functioning. So we were flowing together. But we never like really conversed. But our relationship has blossomed.
Booski!
It blossomed into something because we were the child left behind. While our friends were off.
Flying, she was traveling.
She was traveling and doing other stuff. And then she was flying. And then it was like, dang, we're alone. But we're together.
We are.
And so me and Darren just became really close, and then we started going to concerts and stuff like that. And so it's pretty funny, but other than that, like, I love Darren. She's such a like strong and smart woman, and just to see the women that she's growing into being, like, that was my first impression of her. Like, at first, yes, I was like, oh, she don't like me, but you know, I had to deal with my flesh. I was like, well, she's just not gonna have to like me. No, but we were all at church, and you know, it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was wanted. It was, you know, some people have blocks up, and I can't let you in without knowing who you are, because that's a good way to open yourself up, and you know, people
become vulnerable.
You become vulnerable, and it's understandable, and I know who that person is now, and so it makes sense to me. And then Aisha, the first person I met at the table, who's my best friend. I met Aisha in 2011. Yes. She was like my annoying little sister.
Seems like that for everybody.
But no,
Oh,
but,
no,
it's not.
but no. But the thing about Aisha was, we were both in the world. We were both not saved, and so that part of Aisha, I knew. Your breath does not stink.
Okay.
We
You
gave her a
literally
minute
checking
before.
it right now in the middle of her
Sorry, my bad.
You know.
Okay, thank you.
But in 2011, and me and Aisha, we pledged into the same sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and so I was the ace. No, I was the ace, and she was the Trey. And so when I tell you, like Aisha, her sorry, the background. That is
Aisha.
her fiance, and he giggled, and she got up from the table.
And she got up from the table, out of the frame and everything.
You should have sent a text message.
Right.
I can't send a text message. I'm using my phone.
My phone is right there.
And we're back on. So,
You can edit that out though.
no, you can keep it in. But, yeah, where was I? Okay.
Play the same
So we
sorority.
pledged the same sorority, but
Yes,
Aisha
great.
always had the same qualities. Like, she was always caring. She was always giving. She had my back no matter what. And that was just her as an unsaved person. But when I was reintroduced into Aisha, because even though she joined Destiny, she never let me completely go. She left everyone. And when I tell you everyone, if you are still my friend or consider me some kind of close, and you're watching this podcast and you haven't seen her, there she is. But
I'm alive.
yeah, she never let me go. She let everyone else go, but I really feel the Holy Spirit had an inkling between us, and it just stayed there. And then just it metamorphed into something so much more. And besides the annoying little sister, she's really a sister to me. She's one of my closest friends, and I don't have a shadow of a doubt if whatever I'm going through, that she has my back and my best interest, even though I don't share it with her all the time. I truly love her. All of you guys. But that's my first impression. Tear. I almost cried like 3 times, y'all.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You
I
kept it
got
together, girl.
really big.
Because I really love my friends. Like, I really
Love you
do.
too.
And I just, it just seems sometimes I feel like we don't look at the gifts that God has given us, but then when you stop and, woe is me or something, of that nature, as Pastor Frazier said today, I'm so beyond blessed just for these 3 right here, and I don't think they really understand the magnitude of positivity and just the impouring that they've had on my life for me to grow. And so those are my first impressions.
Oh, yay, so Aisha.
I think you should go next.
Aisha.
I'm getting my eyes together. Give me a
Oh,
second.
geez.
I've been almost crying
All day in
guys.
church.
I'm sorry.
All day in church. I'm
You
sitting
were-
next to Aisha with the trying to
my
fan her.
my eyes
Oh, I
open.
definitely cried.
But she couldn't. She
Okay,
hadn't
so-
danced yet.
Listen, so
Today
today's the 25th of August, and it is our pastor, Dr. Sheila's birthday. We all love you so much. Should have did that. Oh, we can do that later. But in the service, you just hear people loving on your pastor, and then it's like sometimes, like the other day I went to my uncle's funeral, right? And everybody who got up, whether family member, friend, church member, they all had the same thing to say about him. If I needed my car fixed, or if I needed something fixed in my house, he was always there. But that's it. But more than that, they were like, he was nice. Like, he was very stern and very, very, stubborn and things. But if I needed something fixed, he was the one to do it, and then he wouldn't charge me for it. But that was a constant thing that they said about this one man for these people I've never met before. With Dr. Sheila, everybody pretty much says, you love. You need to lay hands? You good?
She had a scratch in her
You need
throat.
some water? You don't want
You're like, yeah, you look.
Hey, calm down, homie.
Is that right?
We should have our own cups, yes.
Yes.
But in that, it's just when people start saying the same thing about your pastor, like, I don't know what other people walk through with our pastors. Like, honestly, I don't know what some of the things that they walk through with our pastors. They don't know what I walk through with my pastor. But in that, when you hear people get up and say to your pastor the same things that you're thinking, like, you poured into my life. You mean so much to me. If it wasn't for you, thank God you didn't walk away. Thank God you didn't. And so in that, it was just like, they feel how I feel. It was amazing. And so the tears were coming, but I couldn't cry because I needed to keep my makeup on. So yeah, it was real. But I got my tears together. If you want
Okay, then Sierra's gonna go.
Sierra.
Start with something.
Can I start with Asia?
Sure.
Yes, you can
Because
start
that's the
with
one I
Asia.
met first.
Okay, go ahead.
I met
No, she lived with you.
I know, but you were at the church first.
Okay, well, you
That don't
saying
mean-
based
Ah,
on me.
No, meeting.
I got
Okay,
it.
Okay.
when I met Darren was with
Kiera.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And my mother,
Dad, what's wrong with me?
that was around the time when my mother was trying to get me to, like, you know, connect with other women because.
Yeah, start with Aisha then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I know
I
where
met
you're going.
Aisha.
Just start with Aisha.
I met Asia through Lisa because Lisa was my roommate at the time, and
She's
Aisha
my mom.
moved in. Yeah, Lisa's her mom. And Lisa was my roommate at the time, and Lisa let me know, hey, we're about to have Aisha about to move in, and so it wasn't. I really didn't have a decision.
that. I didn't know it was just you and Lisa at first.
It was. I was there first. I mean, Aisha was there first, but Aisha left, but I was there first.
Okay, we got it. We got it.
Aisha came in, and it was almost like a. I wanted to do the pop, but then I was like, we weren't really a pop because it wasn't just like we didn't really like click like that. You know, it was just more of I liked Lisa and I grew to love Lisa, and so it was just like, okay, well, I mean, that's her daughter. So I mean, over time we developed a relationship and an understanding with each other. But I would say still it would be the most challenging relationship that I've had because she's always very boisterous about what she believes and things like that. And for me, I am the same way. And
I'm trying to figure out where she goes.
we bumped heads a lot. But I would still say to this day, although we still do it, but we do it in a more mature manner for the most part. And I do know that if I need anything, like Aisha, she's like always been that friend who's like down for you. No matter where we are in our relationship, she's down for you.
Except for sin.
Oh, except for sin. Because when I was really thinking about like giving away my dog because I was about to go to a different part of my life. And I could not take my dog with me. And so the first thing that came to mind was a teacher. A teacher would have
A stationary home.
stationary home, kids to love on the dog and everything. And I said, Aisha, do you know any families, not thinking of Aisha, but thinking of other families who would take her in? And Aisha connected with her mom, asked her, and she took my dog in. And that, hold on,
My friends are criers, guys. It's right there on the back behind the camera. After
I'm
you got
sorry,
for the third time.
She's crying. It's not in here.
Okay,
Yes,
leave
it
it.
is.
Or you could get it out of my purse. Okay.
yeah, I cry a lot, so it don't matter.
Darren likes
Let her cry.
Yeah, so I dropped tears. Hold on.
But wait, don't she got a friend?
Okay.
So,
But for her to even like step up and to take she's like everything to me, and to take her in and to take her in as if it's her own, it just made me just be like, oh, thank you, you know.
They couldn't hear that. Thank you, Jesus.
They heard it. So yeah, like that's how. I mean, it's still an ongoing thing, and I would say like that's my longest standing relationship that I've had thus far at Destiny, because most of the friendships that I had so far since Asia has kind of perished, if I would say, or it's dwindling, and some of them still diminishing it at this very moment, and that's okay. Darren, I met her through my mom. It was we were at the bowling alley. And how you looked at me that day, I knew I didn't want to hang out.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a theme between everybody. I mean, I'm okay with that because I know that about myself.
Oh, okay.
But keep going because I'm trying to figure
That
out
was my
what
first
happening.
impression because back in that time, I was really close to a different lady who was in the church. I'm not going to say her name, but that was my road dog. So I was content with just being me and her. Like that was it for us. But my mother wanted me to like connect with other women in church, and when she introduced me to her and another young lady, how she looked at me, I was just like, okay, no. And so, and I was very upset. It was in the hallway. You remember? And your mom was sitting there too. No, you remember that. But we were all. Oh, and it was her my homegirls. It was her goodbye party.
You gonna have to tell me who the homegirl
I
is.
remember for the one that lives in New York. So for when her going away party, I remember I had white and black. I remember the eyeshadow I had on a colorful shirt, and it was in a bowling alley, and everybody was there. I remember that. I don't remember that, but I remember being there for that.
So that was the first time I met her. But the first time the moment where I considered her my friend.
No, just say that after.
The moment I considered Darren my friend, when I knew that I can call, because I had the hardest time calling people friend. It was because what I knew to be a friend, that's how I define friendship. Like if a homegirl talk about your friend, you don't go back to that same homegirl. If someone dated a guy in that circle, you don't date that guy's off limits. Like for me, friendship was just like.
She wasn't raised in Vegas.
No.
You don't put that on Vegas.
No.
We're not putting that on Vegas.
So for me, like friendship, it was hard for me to make new friends. And then like the friends that I did develop over time, it was just like, it was hard for me to let go of what I defined friendship as. And so the moment where I knew that I wanted her to stay in my life, so when we were sitting in her car and we were at Sonic's, and I love the mango limeade, light ice.
Right. I was gonna say light ice.
Don't it needs to be cold, but I don't
put too much ice. You get less drink.
Get on my nerves with that. Okay, but we were sitting in the car and I don't know what we were talking about, but that's when we defined ourselves. We started calling ourselves Booch. I don't know what we were talking about, but we just started calling ourselves Booch, and everything just hit home, and I was like, this is like my friend. And of course we went through a couple of things, and I was just like, no, this ain't it. But we have stood the test of times and still standing, and I truly appreciate that. Fast forward to Silky. I believe Silky was a prayer answer, because these two, quite often, I just felt like I felt old. And I'm much older than.
She's
not
much older than us.
When I graduated in high school, y'all was coming in.
She's only 5 years older than us.
A year before
I graduated a year before her.
Okay, still at the end of the day, that can be a big difference,
I don't like
especially
y'all
when
making me
you.
sit
You're the baby.
I'm not a baby.
Especially when you just like look at the world just totally different, and so I prayed I wanted someone close to my age, someone who was fun, just somebody I could just click with.
Enter
Silky. What she said, it literally just we just clicked, and just to have someone who allowed me to talk, to allow me to pour into them, to just let me just be myself and don't feel like being bubbly and sparkly and all that, girly stuff wasn't too much. I just absolutely appreciate it. Oh my gosh. So it was just a relief. She allowed me just to be me, because I, for the longest, did feel like how I was being described. I have a hard time accepting certain words to mean new things. And so when I hear it,
the hardest time.
Yes.
So when I hear certain words like bougie, when I hear it, where I'm from, bougie is not a good thing. Bougie is a highfalutin.
It's a bad connotation.
It's a very bad connotation. So to hear constantly from these two, it was just
everybody, not
it wasn't just us.
No, but you guys were the
We were not the catalyst behind that, though.
You're not the catalyst, but you're the closest to her. So when
Oh,
you guys say
okay.
it has more of an effect.
Okay, I get it.
So, like I was saying, so to hear those certain things and how they describe me, it played a toll on me. And I wasn't always willing to voice it, because quite often we would probably get into like a debate, well, more like an argument, turn to argument, but to have those things be used to be described me, and for me to be able to be those things like unequivocally with Silky, it was just refreshing. And I remember coming outside.
That's cute.
Out on Wednesday, and I was walking by, and I said I wanted to go say bye to my mentor. Remember when I'm not gonna say her name, but I love her like with all my heart. And she looked at me and she was like, "How old is she?" And I said 28. She was like, "An answer prayer?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I walked away. You remember that? No, yeah, it was on a Wednesday, and I was just, she reminded me, and I was just like, "Thank you." So yeah, those are my impressions of these girls, and I'm truly grateful to have them in my life. I truly am, and I am looking forward to see what will transpire as far as our future. Because I do know the place I am in my life, and then the place that she's about to go in her life, and then the place these two are about to go in life. So I do believe there's going to be a big shift, but I am looking forward to see what God is going to do in our lives individually and in our lives corporately.
Darren.
Aisha.
Darren.
I
had it first.
No, I already told you, and then you veered off because you had to get yourself together. You still getting it together?
Go,
No, I
Aisha.
want you to go first.
No.
Alright, fine. So, I hope me.
You can do whatever you want.
I can't think
I
of
can keep talking.
She good?
Okay.
No, so I met Silky first. She told you all our story. One of the biggest things that I remember about Silky was that at the time that we met, Silky, for Silky, no, she is one of the hardest workers I know.
True that.
And so at the time that I met her, she was working, I think,
6 jobs.
3 jobs. She was working about 3 jobs at the time, and it was like, you would see her, it'd be like fly by night type stuff. And while we were there, in that situation, like,
Wait.
It's
You
hard.
just call her a slave? She got paid.
I don't care. I don't know how I feel. I don't
But she
care.
had bills to pay though. She had bills to
She's
pay.
going to
And they
school.
were all like part-time jobs.
Nobody
though.
in the Bible who got more than one job.
But they're paced together to make one.
Let's say, but they was all part-time. So
Yeah. And it's
So we had to stop and come back because got a phone call. But
Oh, we're back.
Oh, that was recording?
Oh,
Yes.
The whole
No,
thing?
get that
Yes.
out. Don't put that in there.
Go ahead, Aisha. Resume. On Silky,
You didn't even
hardest
tell us
worker
that she
you
was
know.
recording. Rude.
no, because it was a
Just
funny story
assume.
to add.
Always assume we're recording.
No, that's rude.
And she still didn't find
No, I'm not. I'm too young. I'm not a
So Silky's
Who
the
you
hardest
looking
working
for?
person Aisha
I
knows.
want to know if my breath stinks.
Exactly.
But you don't want to know if your breath stinks.
You
You just
don't.
want to push out air.
Yeah, because I'm so young.
But if you yawn and you push out air, you can tell whether or not your breath
Who yawns and go like this? People cover their mouth when they're yawning.
Only in public. If I'm not in public,
It's
I don't.
offensive.
I do a lot of stuff not in public. That's
I'm your friend. I can yawn if I want to. Let's go.
her breast stink.
Yeah. I didn't remember it.
Thank you.
It was hot though.
Everybody breath hot. Especially when you hurt it. It's probably not as hot. You ever test that theory?
What?
Come on, Aisha.
Somebody breath?
Back to first
That's
impressions. Sorry about that. That was like a whole sidebar. You know.
Ew.
We get lost. Oh, and then just a little point of like, interjection. So hopefully you guys don't see a lot of this, but if you do, you can most definitely let us know.
If you
Sierra
like it or
likes to
not.
start side conversations with me.
It's just with Silky though. It's just a them thing.
No, it's not. It's
Me and Aisha don't do that.
No, wait, but what happened is I'll say, damn, that was funny. She'll say it was. And then we go back to it. Y'all have a whole conversation.
Y'all stop.
Hold on. If I,
Last time, didn't we sit
wait.
back and watch them do it?
Wait, hold on. And then we'll, come back. If we go back and watch that last video, as I'm trying to talk, y'all
Yeah,
literally,
talk.
first you had a conversation about her jobs, then you called her a slave, and then we got into the whole slave movement, and I just sat here for it.
And then you just start talking about yawns. My God.
It's Sierra. No, I'm kidding. It's Silky too.
No.
You give her something to talk to. You know how in school, and they be like, it's not me, she's talking to me. Well, you're giving her something to talk to.
Do we give each other something to talk to about?
No.
See, exactly. Anyway, so, and then I was telling her, not me. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Hopefully she cuts that out. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm not gonna. I want y'all to see what we see, what all of us see.
This is just us.
This is the real us.
I'm not
Either way,
ashamed of us.
so when it comes to Silky, as my longest friend, like you're my longest friend, like in life. Like,
Oh,
period.
Really?
That's so
Yeah.
sweet.
I've told you that before.
Oh.
Either way, Silky's like my longest friend in life. She is my best friend. The first time I remember generally around that time when I met Silky, she was working all these jobs, and being that we were all joining the sorority together, there were really originally supposed to be 5 of us, and then it came down to 3. And so with the 3 of us that were coming in, Silky was the organized one. And so she was the one who was like we all used to just jump in her car. See, side conversation. Boom.
Oh,
Silky didn't get it.
But what normally happens is you say something and then she'll feed it. And
I was doing the same thing you said.
Silky did not engage that time.
scared for my life. I'm sorry.
I don't want to know.
So much. Because I knew they were going to say something. You prayed for me.
Remember, you said that.
You said I was the answer.
You told people.
Oh, Jesus up above. Okay.
But when we came into the sorority, there were the 3 of us, and what I remember, Silky was very and even now she'll say that the 2 of us, that me and our other line sister were together all the time, but it's because Silky was working. Like, if she wasn't working, she was at school. If she wasn't at school, she was at church. If she wasn't at church, she was at home. Pretty much the same stuff she does now. So, just now, she's living holy, so it's good. But Silky wasn't very open. She kept a lot of stuff to herself. I didn't know none of her brothers. The only reason I met her brothers and sisters was after I got saved and she was moving. Do you remember that when you were moving to your apartment? Oh, remind me to tell you that story later, because she probably don't want me to share it over the mic. But so she wasn't very open about
Well, you
herself.
met Jasmine a long time ago.
Because she's in another sorority.
Okay.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was there when we
Where
were
is she?
there.
She's sticking me up.
She's an SG road. See, why'd you ask? Anyway.
The other blue people.
That's what I was looking for, like a color.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay.
I knew what I knew.
What's their guy counterpart though?
They don't.
They don't have one?
No, we are the only ones with a guy counterpart that is constitutionally bound. But anyway,
Oh.
back to what I was saying.
They're blue and gold. Kappas are red and white.
Because they shimmy and they have canes.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's probably something else. Sorry, any Greek org or no.
We are so sorry if we do not know all about your org, but we kind
Your
of
history of why you guys
and
are
things like
bonded
that.
together. Yeah. That's indie love.
Who's that?
The Kappas and the SG.
Oh, see, that's what it is. All right.
Okay, anyway.
So back to what I was saying. At the end of the day, like me and Silky, we were because we were all online together, we were close, but we weren't this kind of close. And I think that as one thing I can always say, because I used to compare our friendships to the one that me and Silky had. Like, if me and Silky are even debating about something, when we're done, we're like, all right, let's go get something to eat. And we move on. And so for me, when it came to Sierra, I was like, why isn't she doing the same thing? Like, why isn't this happening? Because with all my other friends, I could do that. And Sierra was like, no. But with Silky, even in the organization, like, we worked a lot together, we were together, and now it's like even better. Because now it's like, she said it when she first came to Destiny, that we were like starting over again. Like, we were really getting to know each other, and we were really becoming true friends. And that is true. When I got saved, I didn't intentionally cut everybody off. It was more like, this is my family, and I'm spending time with my family, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. As the church family, we do spend a lot of time together, not because we're like, ooh, you're not in our church, goodbye. It's more like, hey, I'm going to get something in the house, you want to go? And we, after church. And so we'll all hang out. And so I, like everybody else, kind of faded to the background because they were asking me to do stuff that I was not going to do. And still with Silky, I remember that phone call. She called me one day. I remember I was laying down and I had this crazy dream about like me leaving the organization and them saying you ain't getting out, and then it was a lot going on in that dream. And right when I woke up, Silky called, and when I answered the phone, this was her re-salvation. I don't know what you want to call that. What do you call that when you came back? What do we call that? Re-salvation? I don't know.
How do you get recent?
That's what I'm saying. So what are we calling it?
Dedication?
Her rededication?
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take that. So, like, this was before her rededication. She called me and she was like, Aisha, you done just like pass us to the side because you done joined this cult, and I'm one of the best people you'll ever know. And you,
you're one of the best people I'll ever know. That don't even sound like me. I'm not that cocky.
Yes, you did. She was like, I'm one of the best people you'll ever know, and you're just trying to push me to the side. I don't know if it's...
You say I sound that cocky?
Yeah, I can see that.
You guys, she is.
So yeah, I don't know what they
about
talking
her
about.
sidebar conversations. I would never said something like that.
Nonetheless, she did, because right after that I called my mom. But either way, like after the conversation, pretty much she was telling me, because we had been close. Like it was pretty much because some other things had been going on. It was just the two of us working. Like our line sister was about to be, she had I think graduated, and
yeah, all that stuff.
I'm saying, so after that it was just me and Silky, and we were doing a lot of the stuff together. And then when I got saved, it was like slowly more and more I was hanging out with other people from the church and my mom and things like that. And so after that, when I kept inviting her, and so I was like, we're having this, you should come. We're having this, you should come. And she would come to Zumba, and she would come to some of the events sometimes. And
I
then
just
even
came to Zumba.
I could have sworn you came to
And
one of the family days.
one roller skating thing, but I
Yeah.
stopped by.
Was that there?
You I don't think you were there for the skating thing, because it was my birthday was that day, and I think that was the only reason she came. And I got a picture of that. But either way, she would come to the certain things that I would invite her to. But when I invited her to church, she was like, no, I'm going to home church. And then I think after she came back, I can't say it was like, I don't know, it was like rekindling a friendship that wasn't a real friendship. Like we were sisters based on like our sorority obligations, and us being like, okay, because of what this sorority is saying, we all we got, and so that's how we acted. Like, but for me, I don't have siblings, so they were really all I had.
It's like a misconstrued foundation.
Yeah. It was a shaky foundation, and now it's like we're solid and we're building. And I can say one of the things that Silky does, she listens to me, and then she's like, okay, so are you ready for me to talk? And then she'll tell me about myself, and it's in a way that I can like accept her constructive criticism. And it's like we're learning how to, like I'm learning how to communicate with other people outside of our friendship by like kind of sort of practicing on her. And so it's working though. Like when I call, because that's the thing, before when I used to like be offended with people, I would call them and be like, now listen, you offended me, and the Bible says I need to come talk to you. Instead, now it's more like, okay, Silky, something happened the other day, and I want to talk to you about it. And we're like working through our friendship, and it's just getting better, and it's amazing sauce because
Yay!
she's amazing.
Next!
And she's her best friend too.
That's what I said.
Oh, I didn't get it.
She started with that.
Oh. I missed that whole part.
You were talking about your decision.
No,
I'm joking.
go on.
Anyway, then we get to Sierra. So with Sierra, I met Sierra because I met her before I moved in with her and my mom, because I got saved, I was living in my own apartment, and then I was coming over there and spending time with them, and I was like, yeah, that's my mom's roommate. Because that was like, she was there, and then when I'm like, because it was always like her and my mom would do stuff, and then I'm like, well, then me and my mom and her would do stuff,
Yeah,
and
it
then
was around the time I fell in love with Lisa. And the Asian lobsters have seen her.
I mean,
She
my
blocked
car.
herself back into her mom's life.
Right. At the time, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the car got stolen. No, not even that. I wasn't planning on living with
She
them.
wasn't planning.
No, my car got stolen, and I couldn't afford rent and a car note, so I had to move back with my mama. And she was. Because that's the thing. When I moved in, Sierra started getting treated like my mom treats me.
Yeah.
And so my mom
She's
treats
like, what happened to the room?
so my mom switched from
She
roommate
switched
Lisa
roles very
to
quick.
mom Lisa, and so she started treating Sierra like she treats me, and Sierra was like,
I ain't in there for this.
I didn't sign up for this. And so, but then me and Sierra started hanging out a lot because I mean we were living together, and it was our 4 no more. That was before then. It was our 4 no more, and we would
Not
do,
including me. I was
no,
not.
she wasn't in the 4. It was 2 and then 2 other people, and
2 other people.
so I think around the time that your original one friend left, like that was in that
That's when it
transition.
transitioned.
Yeah, that's when it was in that transition, and that's when like I transitioned in. And then one thing I can say about Sierra, the Holy Spirit is a snitch, because he will tell on me, and this is what she'll do. She'll call me or text me, hey, I had a dream last night, and I'm like, and then I'm running through my Rolodex like, okay, what did I do? And then sometimes it's not bad. Sometimes it is. And so, like I do know that I have that safeguard, and that's one of the reasons I know without a shadow of a doubt that Sierra was meant to be in my life, and she is, like the Lord put her there, like Nathan to David, like. He came and he told, like God spoke to Nathan. Nathan came to David, called David on his stuff, and then David had to go and repent.
Oh.
That's what she does.
There's a different meaning there.
No, but I'm serious. Like the Lord uses her to help me when I'm ignoring him. Like when he's saying stuff to me, like or he just left me to myself. Like I don't know that part. Like it doesn't say in the Bible where if God was specifically trying to speak to David to get him to repent for his sins for that 2 years where him and Bathsheba had messed up. But I know Nathan came in, David repented, and then his life story continued. But I know that God speaks to her, because he speaks to her and he will tell her stuff about me that I have not told her nor anybody else. And she'll call and I love Sierra. I love
I feel like I
Sierra.
was so gullible because whenever she told me no, I was like, okay.
But that's the thing. The reason I would tell her no, she would call me, and she was like, "That's what she did." So at the time, it was like in my first years of salvation. Not gonna lie, I had a boyfriend, and Sierra called and said, "The Lord, I had a dream, and you were dating somebody. You got a boyfriend?" She sent me a text, and so I called that person and was like, "The Lord." And I'm crying, I'm feeling convicted because the Lord is speaking to me. Like the heavens have opened, Sierra has spoken. And it was mind blowing for me because in my mind, it was real deep because I'm like, Lord, you told her my business. And so then then me and that person broke up. And then she called me later on that day and was like, you got a boyfriend? I was like, no, because
we broke up.
And she I did. But I think after I said that, then I came back like maybe 24 hours later and told her the truth because I was technically lying. So, but came back, told her the truth, and we do have our on and offs. But I know that God uses her to speak to me. So as much as even if she tries to go out on her line, she can't go too far because I'm the friend that will snatch all of them up. So.
Next.
Yeah. then to Darren.
She about to have the same story y'all have. I know.
When I first met Darren, no, I didn't. Darren, hold on.
You told
When
me
I first
before,
met
though.
Darren,
Go ahead.
it was our 4 and no more.
Mm-hmm.
And Darren was hanging tough with her best friend. So there was no need for a 5th. Because that didn't rhyme with 4 and no more. So then,
But what did you think about me?
I did not like Darren.
And why didn't you like me, Aisha?
The reason I didn't like Darren is because my best friend, do you want me to get into the real story?
No.
No, the story you told me.
But that was a part of the reason.
No, the story you told her.
I'm trying to tell the story I told her, but that'd be all right.
It wasn't because of that particular person. You
It
told
was
me
that
because
too.
you said I looked.
It was 2 pieces. Oh, Darren has the face. It was that plus the other one.
Okay,
So-
then tell both then. I ain't ashamed. Don't release no names though.
Release no names. At the end of the day, someone that nope, not gonna go into that because then
There you go.
we'll figure it out. So either way,
Okay.
Darren, I can say I did not like Darren. Darren did not have the most. She wasn't friendly. She wasn't very welcoming. She was like, I got my friend. These was my friends before, and that was the thing. It was like she was like I was about to say like peeing on her spot. Like these are my friends. Like I've been here since I was, and I really wanted to be like, well, I've been here when I was 10. You would nowhere near. Get at me. But then we had like this invisible, non-feuding war over 2 people. Because that's the thing. Y'all would hang out with like.
See, that's why. Hold on. This is why I'm not good with not being fully yourself or honesty or I don't care about the names, but when you
No, but
don't, I don't be knowing what y'all talking
Okay, so
about.
that's the thing. Because when we had our 4 and no more,
Okay.
you were still hanging out with 1 and 2 and your best friend. Like that was y'all's 4 with no more. Like y'all all y'all were a group because one had went off to college. Like y'all whole group that went and bought shoes together. Y'all doing all this. Y'all had y'all 4 and no more.
I didn't think it was 4.
There was
because
DJ and Kira. That was y'all 4. And then you had the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So nonetheless,
Not your real friend. You don't even remember who you saying.
But I knew who
it's
because
because
it
she
was always
was tough
we.
with her and Kira.
It wasn't
used to-
just
she
us
like
though. Me and
cheating
Kiera,
games.
we had like different groups. Like we used to hang out with people from school, like tough. But then
your
we had people from
for
church
no more.
that were tough too. So
But that's the thing, like those little, I can't call them one-offs. Is that what they're called? Is that a bad term?
like one off like friendships.
Like you had those 4 and then you had like y'all one-off friendships. Like,
yeah, I had different friends for different things.
right, but I'm saying, so her essential 4 and no more. So one of her 4 was a part of our 4, and so in my mind, it was like, they was mine first, so. And she wasn't very friendly, and she didn't seem like she wanted to be my friend, so.
But the story that I'm talking about, she told me that she said hi to me or something.
Oh, I did. And
I didn't know she said hi.
I said hi to her to her face, and she didn't say nothing.
I wouldn't do that.
And for me,
I didn't know you were saying hi to me.
Thank you.
What is
Thank you.
that
At the end of the day, I spoke to her. She did not speak to me. I took that as, oh, okay, we were now. This was before, my sanctification. I was just fresh saved. So we were born. And in my war, I was like, this was about to be a part of my foe. But then we ended up going to a Sleep When You Die party. I think you had to go to work the next morning, and you came in. We had the same socks, and we had the same socks, and we put our feet together. Yeah, we put our feet together, and we took a picture, and then we started that's when we exchanged our olive branches. She didn't know that, but I exchanged my olive branch with her, and then we started becoming cool, and we got closer. I think the defining moment of our closeness was when you spent the night right before we went on that cruise. We went on a cruise in 2014 or 15? 2014. Okay, so I don't have friends like that outside of these people. So from my childhood, people be like, oh, my childhood friend. I don't got that. High school friends. I ain't got those. I got these people. And so I'm like, I have 5 year friendships.
She has other friends too.
Outside of that.
Eyeball.
No, but I mean
Okay, maybe
no,
I do. We all have other
No.
friends.
I have other friends, but it's not like this. Like these are like my real true inner core friends.
Like,
Well, you didn't say that, so I don't want no one to see this.
They're lonely creepers.
No, these are my inner core friends, and I've never really had this before. It's usually been me and me and whoever I was dating at the time. Thank you, Jesus, for salvation. So, nonetheless, me and Darren became really close on that cruise. Like the night before, I don't even know how she spent the night at my house.
Said you told me I was spending the night. Why did you come spend the night at my house since we're getting picked up from here?
Sounds like
That sounds like me. And so I told her to come over, and you were in your room.
Oh, wait till I tell my story about you.
But that's the thing. So she
This is back when Aisha was charging me to do my hair, to wash my hair. Let's just say that.
It's because we weren't close, and after that, I think I did it like once.
Yep. I don't think
so what my friends don't understand, I use a lot of product when I'm washing hair, and washing all of our hair, they do not pay me back or bring me product. So I was charging her to refill and for my time.
You want me to bring my co-wash back?
Which is fine.
Because I need my hair washed.
Get it from the whatever store.
For me.
Yeah, you get a discount.
I wouldn't walk to the swap meet at that time. I was going
Okay,
to Walmart.
are you done with me?
But that's the thing. So nonetheless, one thing I can say about all of my friends, like I don't think I'm doing better at trying to see it's not a conversation. It's a whole conversation.
Go,
Not a
Aisha.
whole conversation. It was a
Conversation.
sidebar.
One thing about my friends, I don't think they realize how much more than they just like speak into my life, just what they say. It's not that they're specifically speaking to me. They're talking about themselves, and I'll be like, oh, I like that. I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to be like that. Like I think one day I walked into Sierra's apartment, and granted, like I'm about to get married, and I'm like, we gotta have a 2-bedroom because we need space, and I don't want to share my bathroom with anybody. I don't want nobody traipsing through my room. And we walked into Sierra's apartment, and I was like,
My palette.
her palace.
Okay.
I thought it was a
My
little
own little palace.
I thought it was a cozy place. Is that piece for palace?
Peaceful palace.
Oh, I thought it was place.
Cozy palace, comfortable
My
place.
own little place. I call it
My own little place. It is
my
place.
own little palace.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so her living space. We walked in, and
More.
as I was sitting there, I was just like, if Sierra can live here, why do I need a 2-bedroom? Why do I need so much space? She's making this work, and she's saving money. That sounds like a good financial decision. I think I want to do that. Then with Darren, one day Darren was sitting there, and she said, yeah, I try to be the friend that can travel and hang out with anybody. And I said, I think I want to be that friend too. Then with Silky is the way Silky is.
I'm scared too. Where is she going?
Silky is unequivocally her, and she unapologetically her. She's like, yeah, no, like with the whole touching thing. She does not like to be touched, and for the last 2 years, she has not let that go.
She has an anointed no.
She does. She does. Because Silky says no, and she means it. And even in that, she's very goal driven. She purposes to like really delve herself. Like she's not just like scratching the surface. She's like, no, I want to go deep. Like just even in her questioning abilities. Like she was like, yeah, in sonship, like they tell us to ask questions, so I be having questions, and I'm like, I don't have no questions. I just want to write down whatever you say. But she's like, and it's just. I'm like, I want to be more like that. I want to be more studious. I wanted this. I want to have a planner. I want stickers. But then I'm like, no, you don't want stickers.
You don't.
I know I don't. But in my mind, it's just like there are different pieces of my friends that make me want to be just a better person. Like a lot of times, like I don't think
your friendships. If your friend is not making you want to do better, that's not your friend.
And I realized like I didn't know how much I loved them until. Like this, because I asked God at the beginning of the year to teach me to be a better friend. Like whatever friend they need me to be, help me to be that. And hopefully my plan is, well, not my plan, but hopefully by the end of the year, like we will, because they've said that they've seen some of the changes, but as we're growing together, it's, as they're teaching me to be a better friend, I'm becoming a better person overall in general. And it's just, I didn't realize how much they mean to me.
Yay.
I didn't know how much they mean, how much my friends really truly meant to me until like I can say this year, like when they hurt, I hurt. Like I've never had that before. When you cry, I cry. When you
I'm
ready
not
to
crying with y'all. You know. Okay.
Let's say I'm more like I'm not gonna cry like out loud, but more like I feel for you, or I feel the pain that you feel.
I was like, Aisha does not cry. The only
She
person
was crying
cries
today.
to is her mama. You see her dropping thugs here in church. Girl, I see you in a movie.
What? Some tears.
Okay, breakthrough. That was different though.
She'll cry at a movie, but she won't cry for anything else.
Me and Darren went to go see where everybody seen Breakthrough, and I thought I was gonna cry, and I did.
When you fall through the water.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you did now.
But either
Probably in theaters no more.
but with
Oh, see, she didn't
all of
say
my
nothing to
friends,
her.
I didn't realize that, like, just how much they meant to me until this upcoming year. Like, even to the point, like, when Sierra, for me, as Sierra was like, as she was like kind of sort of drifting, like when she that curve she was talking about, it was like, okay, I see my friends going. Normally I'd be like, well, God will get her, she'll be all right. But then it was like, no, there was something else that was compelling me to go to her and talk to her as my friend and let her know, I'm here for you. If you're sinning, I ain't got you, but I'm here for you. Then like with Darren and Silky, like when I thugged up on y'all in the car, that was not in my original plan. And like just even telling them and expressing myself as a friend, like, let me be a good friend to you. And for me, I've never had that conversation with anybody else. Not because they weren't allowing me to be a good friend, but because I've never had the opportunity to be a good friend. And I've never had good friends to be a good friend too. So, I love you.
Yeah, we love you too.
45 minutes later.
Don't do her, because all of y'all have been long-winded.
Or beyond that, because of
You
all
were
the,
long.
because
I'm
of the
just
side
kidding.
breaks
Okay,
let's
come
not
on.
talk about
See,
it.
look, y'all didn't even have to. That was just my SpongeBob interlude.
But nobody said that when they were breaking into the conversation. I stopped and sat.
You did. You did such a good job. I'm sorry.
I'm becoming a better friend.
Go ahead, Darren.
So just to go off of Aisha since she's right here, but I think I met her first. So it was 2014. My encounter with Aisha, I do not remember prior to this party. So anything that she says, no recollection. I'm claiming it's not here. So I met Aisha. Well, we had the Sleep When You Die. It's 2014 is January 1st. And after church, we go over whomever's house. And that year, it was still at TT Marshanna's house, right? And that was her party favor. She gave us socks and lip glosses. And let me tell you, I used that entire tube of lip gloss BT Dub. She was so surprised, like a year or two later, and she asked me for some, and I still had it, but it's important. But we ended up being partners for Sequence, and that's what initially made us, start communicating and like, hey, I'm Darren, or I don't introduce myself to Blue and only to people like I don't really know. So they all call me Darren because
That's his name.
If it's quiet and you can hear me say Darren and you're not gonna mispronounce my name, I don't mind giving you my first name. But so that's my first encounter with Aisha. And the only thing about me and Aisha's friendship is when I got to know Aisha and the little nuances that make Aisha, I would always tell her, if we were not saved, we probably wouldn't be friends. Because from what you can see from how they see me, I did not come off as friendly. I never wanted to have this face of, come talk to me. I don't I know why.
Uninviting.
An uninviting face. But what she doesn't acknowledge is that me and Darren look the same person.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
I don't like when people
She doesn't like when I say that at all.
I don't.
We listen to the same music. We listen to the same rock band.
So
I same type of
not
friendships,
the same
dating
person.
the same type of guys. We come on now, let's not play.
The same. It was one guy.
I said the same type of guys, Darren. We like the same. No
We're the
love.
same.
Drop that in there.
Weird and thick.
Let me say we're not the same person.
Can I have the fan?
We're not the same person. That's all I'm trying to say. We have a lot in common. Can you stop saying we're the same person, please?
because I'm working to be a better friend.
They
I
have
will do
more
my
in
best.
common.
Then she likes to
They're
admit.
not.
I never said that we didn't have a lot in common.
Neither
though.
one of us cries.
I
Neither one of
never
us are very emotionally
said
open.
we didn't have a lot in common because I know we have a lot in common. I'm just saying we're not the same. It's impossible for us to be the same person. That would make what we're not the same person.
If
We are dressed
Have
the same.
an
Hold on.
outline.
We are dressed the same today. Let's just put that out there.
Because we as people follow directions.
That's
Excuse
Because the first day I was all the way slaying in my denim, and who was not? All three of y'all.
But why you didn't wear them?
Because I saw a change of clothes, and I was like, I'll bring my clothes to change into. But I wanted to put on pink today because
Exactly. Today is Dr. Sheila's birthday.
You could put on jeans pink.
No, because
I
all
had
my
on
pink
jeans.
tops, someone has all my pink
Now.
tops.
Who?
Somebody. You know, I don't get started.
Oh, I thought she was talking about me. I'm like, I got your clothes. I can't fit your clothes. But go ahead then.
All I'm trying to say is
We're not the same person.
we're not the same person. We have a lot in
We
common.
have an extreme amount of
You
stuff
have
in
more
common.
in common than anyone else.
True, fine. Yes, absolutely. We're just not the same person.
She doesn't want to be me. It's okay.
And keep going.
So that is my initial encounter with Aisha, and then we did get closer that particular time because the night before the cruise when I came over, we didn't even go to sleep. We were literally up talking the entire night and just sharing
This was at
our
1919?
stories.
Yes, you were in your room.
Let's go over to, speaking of in the room, let's go over to
Sierra.
Sierra. My first impression of Sierra was we were on Bruce Street and I was sitting next to her. And when she takes notes in church, it is the most immaculate thing you could see.
It's an
She
experience.
got some real nice notes.
She writes, she doesn't use line paper at all. So they're
She
all
doesn't
like
like
sketchbooks
lines.
type of notebooks. And the way she was taking notes, it just, my eye kept going down. Like, and it was like the most beautiful thing ever. And as much as y'all talking about me, Sierra did not have no inviting face, because that's why initially I never talked to Sierra, because she had that face like, don't talk to me.
Do it
I
fast.
didn't want it. I don't know the face.
She don't have it no more.
Anymore. I'm
Thank
very
you.
invited.
So that was my initial, like, very, very first person to see her. But when it became to their four no more, I actually got invited because they were one of their four had a birthday thing. And that's when I actually started hanging out with them, and I started going over like to their house a lot more. But when we would go over there, like after church or something, Sierra be in a room.
In her bed was Zebra and Pebbles.
Who's Zebra?
Her
Blanket.
Now, can I just impart right here, because I was a really, really deep Christian at that time. Like my walk, I was in a place where I was like, I don't need nobody with God. And then I was questioning a lot of, like I told you, had a hard time when it came to my friendships and what I thought friendships was, and then things that were transpiring between me and Asia. And so for me, it was just like, I needed my space. So I kept my space.
Yeah, and she would come out, go to the kitchen in her leggings, and then go back to her room.
We'd be having a whole
I made sure
but
I
that was
cleaned
the
up.
thing.
I'm
We
really
had a
purposely
whole
eating that
fellowship in the kitchen. It wasn't just me and Darren sitting there talking and
It
she
was a
didn't
whole
want
group
to.
of us.
It
though.
was a whole group of people, and she would choose with her deepness
We're not
to
recording.
go
are
in. Yeah, she would choose in her deepness to go in her room, and so while she's in her room, it wasn't just one of us. We're literally having a function in the living room, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go to my room.
I'm good.
But what really truly started our friendship, I say we were established in July 2016 because that's when we went up to Mount Charleston and we were like, you know, really.
You?
Well, it was for the birthday when the elders said
do
that.
that.
I don't know, cause I know we have like that's like the furthest back of like us taking pictures together and all that kind of stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we first started like really going from there.
That was before sitting in.
That was before Buches.
I don't remember that per exact because we go to Sonic a lot and talk
That's y'all.
Oh, that was one. Like over
That
somewhere
was
in the
that was
hood.
before Buch.
in the hood.
It was somewhere like it's like some Sonics that we don't like We probably don't even go to it today.
All for Mojave and Sahara.
Yeah.
That was after.
That was
Because I was doing
no.
car
This,
stuff
no,
at
I'm
the
saying
time.
that booch moment happened closer. I remember y'all telling me about it. We were at one of the old Four No More's house, and y'all were like, "Yeah, we're this," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
yeah.
On the carpet.
But that was
Yeah.
On the carpet. Okay.
But that was like later towards October because that was for that. That was.
But we wasn't defined.
No,
yet.
I'm saying, but wasn't it for your birthday when we were all laying down on the ground? That was for your birthday because remember they came.
They brought
you
over the
lip thing.
mango.
They bought you the mango thing in the lip. The lip.
And so we
picture.
already established prior to that though.
Okay.
That's why it
I'm
was in
saying,
July
so
when we first got
It
close.
was like it wasn't that same year, but it was July of that year.
Okay.
But Booch is, for those who don't know, she calls me Blue Boo. She nicknames everybody.
I did give you a nickname.
Yeah, she calls me.
name everybody.
I never.
She calls me Aisha.
Well, I gave Aisha a nickname. I call Aisha she.
Aisha, you cannot say that. Like,
I don't got no nickname.
what? She don't. You know what? So Suki name is a nickname.
What's my real name?
I know, but Suki, it's like rather very unique.
It's already unique enough. How much uniqueness do you want? Why are you taking up all the uniqueness?
Can we like Suki?
We call you Silks.
I call myself.
We do, yes.
Darren nickname myself.
Hey, I'm out here with the nicknames.
But I did define everybody. Okay, except
The longest friend she's had at this table don't have a nickname.
It's okay, Shishi.
So she calls me Blue Boo, and she's always gone by Smooch. So nobody nicknamed her. She goes by that. She's established Smooch. Yeah. So when you get Boo and you get Smooch, you get Boo Booch.
Which, if you watch season 21 of America's Next Top Model,
Oh gosh,
they
Boo-
had that there.
it's a male
A
version
male
of a
tooch,
It's
but
a
they
boo.
call it a booch.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. So that name is perfect.
I knew that, but
I did not
it's
know
not.
that.
It don't mean the same thing. So,
Don't mean nothing.
but that's
So
my
my nickname is a male tooch.
Oh, are we hating now?
No, Booski. We are not.
Oh, she's now a Booski. So.
Oh, no! Love you guys. Love you. Oh, never loves me.
But that was Sierra. And Silky, I just remember her coming.
Arizona, right? It's when y'all click.
No,
No,
I first met her.
Then Arizona happened.
I first met her when she came to, was it Pastor Rob's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his Jubilee. And now she was just sitting next to me. I'm like,
Ew.
like, why is this red? Like,
Yeah,
because Aisha had saved her a seat. And she came after work, right?
Yeah.
Aisha had saved her seat, but it was like,
But I wasn't hanging out with you guys at the time. Like, after that,
she
I
wasn't.
started hanging out with
She had other
two
people.
other people.
oh, yeah.
Aisha. And
But
then
that's my
after
first
Colorado.
time I met her. It was, why is she sitting next to me? I don't know her.
And that's why y'all.
She still
say
has
the
these
same
problems to this day.
Well, she's working on it.
But after that, when she actually like started coming to the church and she started being in our group more, like Silky said, that's a perfect explanation of we just started rolling together.
Just rolling together.
But it was for me, I had to deal with my insecurities in friendship because you got super close with Sierra. So every time I called Sierra, she was you. I'm like, okay.
I will always say you should come hang out with us.
It's
But
just
they weren't
like,
hanging out. But they weren't hanging out with Sierra.
But it wasn't even
Sierra's
like that.
fault. Yeah,
I wasn't trying to hang. It wasn't that I was not trying to hang out. It
But
was
I used to always be me and you.
yeah, but it wasn't about like, ooh, you should come hang out with us. It was I was probably already doing something and just calling you because I was just calling you. It wasn't like I'm trying to hang out with you and you with her.
And then you want to be with Silky. That's crazy.
It just happened like every time I called her, she was looking. I'm like.
We did, because I
But
don't
that
know
was
what
the
it
thing.
was. Did we both
I
have
would
like
call-
really random schedules?
No, I would call Silky, and Silky was always with Sierra, and I was like, all right.
Because my schedule, that's
But
the
that-
thing
that
about
was
our
me.
friendships though. My work schedule is my work schedule. I
Yeah.
never had a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Everybody else has had one because when you were subbing, it depends on what school you were working at, what time you went in.
You weren't flying
you
at all. You were
cabinet.
at that cabinet.
You had the cabinet. You had
the reason why
Yeah.
they were close as as they were, because you weren't you still at your dad's? Weren't you still at your grandma's? They lived 2 minutes away from each other. So it was always, this was Sierra's house. This was Sierra's house. This was Silky's house. Literally 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
So every time Silky's off, she just goes over to Sierra's house. Every time Sierra's off, she goes to Silky's house. And I'm sitting here like.
Can I go see you hungry?
And that's it. And I think, but that's in all truth.
We did not go to the gym together. We only went to the gym together once.
No, more than one.
Sierra, we got the video. We only did the gym like a couple of times.
More than one.
Yeah, more
It
than
was
one.
so long because we were getting in the car with each other. It's like there's no point for us to like two cars go to.
We did body combat at EOS.
Okay, that too.
Sorry. That's sidebar. We did it again.
Either way, Silky's explanation was really good. Our first, really actually having to get together was when she went on a cruise with your mom.
Mm-hmm. With my grandparents, my mom.
She was flying. And that's when Silky, where did we go, shopping or something?
I don't know what we did, but we
went to the Dress for Success.
Oh, yes, and then that next Sunday.
We had decided, we're going to wear pink today. And
they took a picture.
And we took a picture from there. And then we went to
and she took
what
my picture
concert?
off.
The screensaver?
Yes.
Y'all get so
Yeah.
deep about that
Because I never had
screensaver.
it. You and Sierra have always been in your booth, and that's the thing. I've had to, part of my growing in my friendship, I've had to accept I'm not gonna be that close. The way y'all are close, I'm not gonna have that, and I can't be upset when I don't have that. I've never been your screensaver. I've never been your screensaver.
Oh, you a whole lot.
No, you had you and Darren just. I said, Silky, I've never been your screensaver. You said, well, it's because we were cute that day, and I was
Excuse you. I had that Patriot screensaver where we was all
It was me,
in the
you,
picture.
and Darren.
And Corey.
Right.
Wait, no, Corey wasn't on it.
It was me, you, and Darren.
So you
Really? Okay, no. Okay, let me come in for my defense. Let me come in for my defense. Aisha takes tons of pictures. And the screensaver that we could have took when she bought me a dress that I didn't think I was really gonna like, Aisha took the pictures. I have yet to see those pictures. So she has.
Aisha is
haven't seen
terrible
pictures.
at sending
My
pictures.
30 pictures? I still haven't gotten those.
So exactly. So she has tons of pictures and tons of opportunities, but she misses them because she hoards all the pictures.
Actually, no.
In her
Before
phone.
Silky got there, let's if we're gonna keep it 100, let's be 100. Sierra and Darren used to take a lot of pictures together, and I would not be invited into those pictures. That's one. Then they would, oh, it's Booch. Oh, it's Booch. Oh, it's Booch. And so I had to start. Then
look
hold
like
on.
the Wayne brothers.
Yes. No,
That's
and
what
then
y'all
We're
do.
happy.
but that was
We're
me.
singing. We're
So
coming.
then these two were like, oh, it's because you had a best friend and so we got close. But then the person that was my best friend didn't want to take pictures with me either. He was always in pictures with them. So I'm straight up 100.
He's not helping us right now.
No, because I promise you, I sat there one day with him and I said, and I had to, the Lord had to show
pictures.
No, it wasn't even that. It was I sat back and I was watching y'all one day. It was the day that you and him happened to. It was like a communion, and y'all happened to be wearing black and white, and y'all took a picture together. And I said, okay, me and him wearing the same color. He gonna come ask me next. And when it didn't happen, we went to eat that next Sunday, and I just happened to because me and him would like switch phones, and we would just sit there and just being bored, eating, go Instagram photos, whatever. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like. It looks like you and Sierra have had like a 4-year relationship because she's the only female in your phone.
I know
like,
y'all take a picture today.
They did, and they look like a couple. Ha! So when you're
Oh my god, I don't like being used as the example.
when you take a picture with a man like this is a couple.
But I take pictures like this with like
with a
everybody.
man.
With a man.
It doesn't matter if it's my brother. I'm gonna do the same.
But what other man can you take pictures with like that? Name them.
I used to take pictures with my like my old closest
No,
girlfriend.
I'm talking about the ones at Destiny recently.
I used to have pictures with him like that too.
I don't ever
I've never seen you with a picture, even with teeth. You were never with teeth like that. Y'all
That's
never.
not what me. They used to roll like real tough.
But
I used to-
pictures?
No, y'all didn't take pictures like y'all were a couple. That wasn't a thing. But either way, nonetheless, doesn't matter. For me, it was I had to.
I'm just gonna say right now, I'm happy Sierra getting it, not me.
What are you saying?
Hi.
I don't miss where I was at. Oh, the concert.
Yeah.
We went to.
No, you were talking about y'all going into y'all went and y'all
To
went
dress
to
for
the store,
success, and we look
y'all decided y'all were gonna
real.
go to the next week.
But and then we started going to concerts together. Cause what was the one we went to before Arizona?
Pretty Ricky? No.
Yeah,
Well,
it was the Millennial Tour. We went to that concert together. We took a picture there, and then we went to Arizona for the 116 Forever. So we took a picture. That one was really cute.
And it became another experience.
And that's when we got hashtag Lucy. But it's neither here nor there.
Booski came out of nowhere.
It
too.
did.
I was like, Booski! And I'm like, what?
It was cute.
And then when it happened, I was like, don't tell Sierra.
Sierra is
And then
very
she found out about it,
close
and
enough.
she was like, look at that. She doesn't shake for the tip.
I didn't like it.
Why? You never nicknamed us because you didn't really want
Cause
to.
she can't redefine. Like no, you can't just be boo something with everybody.
That was a nickname you gave me though.
Right.
So you
Right.
were
So
able to
I
go.
have the.
But you literally
She
had
has-
other
she
people
has
calling
rights.
me boo.
Well, other people is calling you boo, but you don't get to be. You don't get to rename.
So you
your
can't be
shit.
Booski, you could be Blueski. And I was about to say a whole, like, nothing.
So you keep stopping
But
yourself.
she can be
Just
boosty.
speak.
All I'm saying is
I have grown.
there
We
was
have
a
all gone
time.
throughout this process.
Yeah, even with me, like there was a time in like Sierra said in our friendship where it was like I was struggling with my loyalties, and with this other person, like I said something that Sierra had told me to that person, and it just got blown up. And at that point, I had to be like, okay, no, Sierra, I'm loyal to you. I promise. Like we're good. Like don't stop being my friend. I really want to be your friend. Like let's move on from here. And she was able to forgive me and all that. But I haven't had that with Aisha. Like we haven't like blown up.
Probably because we had to go through it. You wouldn't do that to her.
Do what?
She wouldn't like betray your trust because she knows what it could be like.
But that's the thing. I think that it's all.
Like I learned from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, there's a time though with Aisha that I backed up though because of what she had with somebody else. That was like, oh, hold
I
on.
think we both backed up.
Yeah. When you had that situation with that person and you told, said people and they told said people and that was like, well, why would she tell them that?
I was absolutely offended.
But in that situation, that made us like, well, I don't want some of my business. Like, well, like that just made me not.
Oh, I didn't think of that part. Okay.
Right. So that made me
Oh,
back up
yeah.
because I didn't want to go and like confide in you about something and then I hear about it from somebody else.
I've gotten better.
We have all gotten better. I don't know about Suki per se because we haven't had that particular test yet.
She ain't got to worry about it. If you don't see me with them, you don't see me at work, I'll be at home. Bye-bye.
All right, the lovelies. We got to close this episode.
Absolutely.
We're having so much fun, but we got to close this one.
But
we love
come
you.
back and be invited into our conversations with each other.
Oh, absolutely.
So look
Close.
forward to the next one. I think we'll be talking about millennials.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right, so we're checking out.
Bye.
We're safe too.
I caught you.
I wasn't on
I
time.
caught you.
Oh, okay. That's cool.